Hi, everybody. Welcome into today's show here on JTV. It is Wednesday, the 19th. It is Hump Day. I'm back. I'm not doing the show in the closet anymore.
That's right.
With a blurred background.
That's right. You're out of the closet now in
So-
the podcast closet.
Yeah, I tried to make my appearance better on there, and I don't know if it really worked.
I mean, you couldn't tell really that it was a closet, so.
Well, that's because I blurred everything
Right.
out.
Yeah, that's true.
So, lot to catch up on. We'll fill out our brackets, of course, because the tournament, the play-in games were yesterday and today, but the big dance starts Thursday. So we'll fill out our brackets. We've got NFL free agency and Tracy Morgan vomiting all over the place at MSG. And I just watched a YouTube video yesterday, and he was in the ad right before the video started. Now that's all I can think about.
Oh, my goodness. I'm just puking all over the place.
Yeah. But we start off today's show in the MHSA girls basketball state quarterfinals from Tuesday night. We'll start here in Division III to show a couple highlights from Lumen Christi falling to Ypsilanti Arbor Prep 31-28. Arbor Prep, the defending Division III girls state champions. So they will play in the semifinal Thursday at the Breslin Center at 2 p.m. Freshman Kenna Hunt and Lucy Rozak, 10 points each for Lumen Christi. So they end the season at 20-7 overall. First year, Jesse Brown, of course, the athletic director at Lumen, and first year as head coach of the girls program. Every single person on their roster, except for one senior, Kathleen Doan, who's graduating, is coming back next year. So Lumen's not going away in girls basketball. They will be back, and fully expect them to make a run again, if not further, in the next 2 to 3 years after that with this group. So shout out to Lumen. Great season. We watched them several times. We had them live on JTV this year. So great season for Coach Jesse Brown and the Lumen Christi Titans. 31-28 Ypsilanti Arbor Prep. And that game was at Dansville. And I didn't know they even had internet out there, according to Noah Baker. They do, but only the Steam Room network was on there, so it can't be very reliable out in Dansville for the internet. So hopefully a place that had better internet, I don't know. But Division IV, I was at Harper Creek in Battle Creek. Concord in Division IV, huge win over Zion Christian at Byron Center, 54-26. They will be in the D4 state semifinal Thursday at 5:30 p.m. at MSU at the Breslin Center. Brady Lehman, 15 points. Grace Flores, Hannah Steimer, 13 each for the Yellow Jackets. Concord with a big win over Zion Christian. And Concord is playing Ewan Trout Creek in the semifinal. We know not.
Is that a fishing school? What is that?
We looked it up on the map because I didn't know. Noah didn't know either. By the way, that was a big upset in their own quarterfinal because they beat number 1 ranked girls team in D4, St. Ignace, by 15. So, better on paper if you're Concord going in the semifinal matchup playing against Trout Creek versus if you would have played St. Ignace. Probably would be a different result. But 54-26 Concord over Zion Christian. And shout out to Coach Arshawn Parker and the Yellow Jackets, and we get a chance to talk to him after the game.
One, I believe that the girls played extremely hard, and we're a true defensive-led team, and I told them, just keep pressing the ball, keep being focused on defense, and then the game, everything will take care of itself. What makes this group so special is that they're extremely unselfish group. Like, it's truly a team that's not about one person, but they play for each other. And it shows in the scoring, it shows in the defense, it shows off the court. They're an extremely unselfish team. Well, I feel like we play really good defense, and if we're a team that's going to play great defense, like that's what wins championships right there. We're not thinking about the offense. We're focused on defense. They played extremely hard. Everybody's healthy. They're in good spirit, and they're playing with confidence. It's a great opportunity, and I told the girls what the goal was at the beginning of the season, and if they put in the work and they dedicate it and they believe in each other, then they'll get there. And they believe, they stepped up, they grew so much, and it's just amazing. Just an amazing opportunity, not just for us, but for the city of Concord and the school.
Concord, big win there. State semifinal Thursday, 5:30. And then if they win the semifinal, state championship Saturday, 10 a.m., just like D7 football a couple years ago. Remember, we went to Ford Field at like 7:30 in the morning.
That was an early one.
It's going to be early, 10 a.m. Saturday,
Woo.
right after watching Michigan State play Friday night at 10 p.m. and then going to the Breslin Center. But all will be well. So Concord, great season for them, still going, still dancing in March, and a great season for Lumen Christi. So we'll have photos and highlights and an interview, hopefully on Monday's show after the semifinal Thursday. So coming up on today's show, of course, it's March Madness. It's always weird that the big dance starts like on March 18th.
It's like halfway through March, almost 3/4 of the way through March.
They finish like in the second week of April, and it starts in mid-March.
We need like an awesome April. March
What?
Madness into awesome April. I don't know. There's got to be some alliteration there.
I like your thinking.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
But we will be filling out our brackets today on the show. Of course, we have JTV Group 1 online, but this one will be on paper, and we'll be following that. So next week, after we show highlights from Concord semifinal and Breslin Center games, we'll check in, see how we did after the first weekend. Nobody's bracket is ever going to be perfect, so don't have too high of expectations.
I'm not confident, but I got some surprises for you in my bracket. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I got some surprises.
I probably will as well. We just filled out our brackets before the show. There is a potential to have quite a few upsets in this year's tournament, despite having, feels like 27 SEC teams in there. I'm still banking on a lot of upsets to happen, and watching Austin and everybody else fill out their bracket. Austin used in our ESPN group, he had ChatGPT do his bracket for him or help him. Like, originally gave him last year's matchups.
That's what I was going to say. I figured it would do something like that.
But then it got it to work for this year, but then it only took the higher seed. They're the favorite, technically, but it didn't factor in upsets and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Which, that's the most important part of it. But he got down to it, and he has Houston winning it all.
Oh,
which
man.
is respectable. A lot of people like Houston, and every year they're in the conversation, but they always fold at a certain time in the tournament, and they never get it done.
That's what I have happening. Not to spoil anything, but that's what I have happening. So I'm kind of, oh, man.
Well, and the betting favorite is what, Florida?
Florida's betting favorite with Auburn, I think, close behind.
Michigan State can't be too far behind either.
I think they're fourth, maybe.
Well, we will fill out our brackets when we come back, plus NFL free agency. The Red Wings are 2 points behind the second wild card spot. Actually 4 because of their loss to Washington now. So they're slipping away. They were winning 2 out of 3, and then they lost 6 straight before that. So we'll get to that and the Pistons. So a lot to get to. We'll fill out our brackets for March Madness when we come back on JTV. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics. So, because I did both shows from a closet last week, you were here, I wasn't here, but I got a chance to watch a lot more college basketball more consistently than I normally have this year. And I got to watch a lot more of those late night conference tournaments or at weird times in the lower schools that are in the tournament. So I feel confident here as we get set to upside down. As we get set to fill out our brackets.
I don't feel confident at all. I'm just letting you know that. No confidence here.
To be honest with you, I don't think anybody should have confidence anyways, because nobody's bracket is ever perfect. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And people's brackets are busted by the first night anyways.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I'm looking at mine. It's just like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But we'll go through. We'll look at it. But, there's a few surprises in here.
All right. So we'll start first round just in this segment, and then we'll take a commercial break. So first round, we'll start top left, Auburn 1C taking on the play-in winner of last night, Alabama State, St. Francis U. That doesn't matter, so Auburn.
Yeah, it's going to be Auburn in that one. I don't think we'll get, based on how talented the number ones are, I don't think we'll get a number one or number two upset in the first round, is my opinion there.
Right.
Not a crazy opinion.
So that one's pretty obvious. No more there. 8-9 matchups are always the most exciting.
Yeah, this is really close, but I got Louisville.
You know, Louisville made the ACC tournament final against Duke. And Creighton made the Big East final and lost to St. John's, who I'm making a run. More on that later in the show. 8-9's always a toss-up, so I would have been happy either way, because anytime you get 8-9, those are so close to each other in talent and how they've done. So I went with Creighton. There's more quality teams to me in the Big East than there are the ACC. That's a very hot take. But Big East, St. John's, who's a national contender, Creighton, who's not bad, Marquette, who is a pretty good team, and UConn, who's still okay. Versus the ACC, it's just Duke and Louisville.
Yeah.
And then everybody else.
Right.
And then North Carolina, who somehow
got in.
You know, I wrote this down. They went 1-17, or they had one quad one win.
That's crazy.
And they got in the tournament. And I didn't know this till Brandon told me earlier before the show. The AD at North Carolina is one of the chairs of the committee that puts the bracket together and picks the teams. And because he's the AD at North Carolina, if any of their teams make their NCAA tournament for their respective sport, he gets a big bonus.
Yeah, a little suspicious. I'm not saying anything, obviously, but it's just a little weird.
That and the West Virginia governor was not too happy that West Virginia missed out on the tournament and said they should have been in instead of North Carolina. The West Virginia governor held a press conference and called it a disgrace and a horrible act of justice that they didn't make the tournament, and he wants the state attorney general to open an investigation into it. But when you lose to the worst team by far in the very first day on that Tuesday or Wednesday, the Big 12 tournament, no, you don't deserve to be in. So, anyways, back to the bracket. Michigan, third game on here. Michigan, Auburn, and Michigan State all in the same region.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
It is.
Michigan taking on UC San Diego, Go Blue, 10 p.m. Thursday night on TBS. I watched San Diego in their conference championship. They played UC Irvine. Don't sleep on those mid-majors. Just because we don't see them on TV and people don't watch them doesn't mean they're not good teams. They won their conference. They deserve to be here for a reason. They can score a lot of points. Michigan has sucked, even though they've won. They won the Big Ten tournament. Michigan has sucked for the last almost 2 months since they went on that run from January to whenever, and then they lost 3 in a row to end the regular season, 2 to Michigan State, and got killed by Illinois, lost to Maryland, and then they won the Big Ten tournament. So, also, if you're Michigan, like in the Big Ten championship, you can't score 21 points in the first half and expect to beat anybody. And it doesn't matter who you play. In college basketball, you can't score 21 points in the first half. So, San Diego's going to give Michigan a run for their money. This isn't a runaway for the Blue.
But
So, I am going to take the University of Michigan.
yeah, that's what I figured. I'm not that crazy either. I still have Michigan winning this. I said it a long time ago that, you know, it's like baseball postseason. It's whoever's the hottest team usually does well, and Michigan's been hot. You know, even though we were really cold, we're pretty hot. To win the Big Ten tournament, you got to be good. So, I have Michigan winning this game for sure.
But the next game, Upset alert.
Yeah, me too.
Yale, the Ivy League champions, taking on A&M. SEC this, SEC that. It's SEC bias, just like the football playoff. So give me the Ivy League. I will take Yale. I watched their Ivy League semifinal and championship game they were in. They looked pretty good, so give me Yale.
Yeah, they can play some defense. They got good rebounders. I got
Yep.
Yale winning that game. I think we'll get to this next segment, but I think Yale could give Michigan a run for their money. I really do.
What?
I do. If
All
you
right.
think who do you think's better, UC San Diego or Yale? I think Yale's better than UC San Diego.
That's up for a discussion.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not that it would be San Diego versus Yale, but if it was, I'd take San Diego
I'd take
if I had to pick one. So then San Diego would get killed by Auburn in the Sweet
of
16.
course. Either
But
team.
6-11, Ole Miss taking them over San Diego State. They're in the play-in against North Carolina, who shouldn't even be considered for the tournament. And that's why they shouldn't expand March Madness for that reason,
Yeah,
because they're going to get even more worse teams in there.
Do you think this was a weird thing to try to get that passed? Trying to be like, see, all these good teams that could have been in, but North Carolina got in. Well, we have to expand it. Do you think that could have been a play for that?
I don't know. I think we should get rid of the play-in altogether, and instead of just putting in horrible teams like North Carolina just to fill the play-in games, like Alabama State playing against St. Francis U, they won their conference. They shouldn't have to fight to get in the tournament. The point of winning your conference is to automatically get in. So I think they need to just take away the first four games, and those low conference tournament winners, just automatically put them in the big bracket and take out all the terrible teams that are in there that don't deserve to be in, like North Carolina. I can probably find 3 or 4 more on here.
Yeah, I just think it's dumb to have the first four. It should just be 64 teams instead of 68. But obviously, that's a discussion for another day. But I think that's just a little crazy that they do that.
Right. So you're going with Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, of course. I got Ole Miss winning this.
3-14, Iowa State over Lipscomb. I assume you have the same thing.
I got the Cyclones for sure.
Okay. 7-10. 7-10 I find always more interesting even than the 8-9, and that's where a lot of my upsets come in. So 7-10 in this region. Marquette, who I just mentioned earlier, is a really good team out of the Big East, taking on New Mexico. Rick Pitino's son, Richard, coaches New Mexico. They won the Mountain West Conference. They defeated Boise State and Colorado State. Boise State should have been in over North Carolina. Boise State's not really good either, but they're better than North Carolina. Give me New Mexico, the Lobos, to upset Marquette.
I got Marquette, and I don't know why, but I just have Marquette winning this.
Well,
it was
they're a
one
good
of those
team,
where,
so.
well, it was one of those where it's just like I don't know whoever's going to win this game is going to lose to MSU. So it was one of those where it's like it's not a big mistake.
Doesn't matter. The winner is going to get killed by Michigan State.
So
anyways.
it's not a big mistake if I pick the wrong team here. So I just figured, I'll go with Marquette. They're the favorites, so why not?
What is a Lobo anyway?
I don't know.
I don't know. Speaking of Michigan State, 2-15, they're taking on Bryant. Michigan State has gotten upset before as a 2 seed against a 15, Middle Tennessee State. Remember that a few years back.
Yeah, we should bring that up to Brandon next time we see him, just to remind him of that.
So I'm going to take Bryant. No, I'm kidding. No. I'm taking Michigan State.
Yeah, same here. I got Michigan State, and I got them going pretty far. We'll talk about that.
Yep. Bottom left, Florida. They were the 2nd overall seed. Auburn, number 1 overall seed. Florida by a mile against Norfolk.
Yep, there's a reason they're the betting favorite to win the whole thing. I got the Gators winning this one.
UConn, Oklahoma, 8-9 matchup. UConn isn't as good as they were the last 2 years. 2-time national defending champs. Close, but they beat Oklahoma.
Same here. I think they are a better team than Oklahoma, so give me the Huskies. They're going to... I think they still... I don't know how many guys they have from their previous team from the national champions, but I don't know. I still think that they have enough to at least get past the first round. Florida's going to be a problem, though.
So I only have one upset so far, I have another one coming here in the game after this. Memphis, I have them over Colorado State, although that could be one of those dark horse games for upset alert.
If there's a selection I'm relatively confident in, it will be Colorado State beating Memphis.
Wow.
I don't think Memphis is
You're
good.
going with the Rams.
I'm going to go with the
of
Rams.
Colorado State.
Yes.
Colorado State, I've seen their football team before. They've played at the Big House. First game of the year, it was 90 degrees here, and it was a blowout, and I wasted my time.
Probably 90-0.
I think it ended up being 60-3 or something.
Oof.
Speaking of another place that's really hot, Grand Canyon, they're playing Maryland. So I'm going to take Grand Canyon.
I am also taking the Canyon on this one. I've heard a lot about this team and how good they are and how good their coach is. So I really like Grand Canyon. You'll see that later.
You know, March is about upsets.
It is. That's why I like doing
I just happen to have another upset right after this.
You know what?
6-11, Missouri taking on Drake. Even Clark Kellogg, during the selection show, has Drake going to the Sweet 16, and so do I. Give me Drake over an SEC team.
I picked Drake and not the singer, the school. And I picked Drake because they are the betting favorite in this game.
Noah just picked against Drake because he prefers Kendrick. So
I get it. That's really funny. But I have Drake winning this. I think the odds makers know a little something about this team, so they like Drake, so I like Drake.
3-14, Texas Tech by a long shot over UNC
For sure.
Wilmington.
For sure.
7-10, Bill Self against Coach Cal in the first round. Kansas, Arkansas. Both teams have struggled when they've tried to make runs the past few years. Arkansas is mediocre this year. I don't know how they're a 10 seed, even though it's SEC bias. Arkansas, anyways.
I don't know about the SEC bias, but I will take Kansas in this game.
What do you mean? They have 14 teams in the tournament out of the 18 from the SEC.
These teams are pretty good, though. I mean, like you'll see. I got 2 in the final
Texas
4.
is a play-in team that shouldn't have been in. Indiana and Boise State should have been in, and North Carolina and Texas should have been out.
Yeah, but North Carolina's not SEC.
Right, but I'm just saying that Texas is an SEC team that shouldn't have been in.
Sure, no, I think, you could probably get rid of a couple of them, but I don't think there's an inherent bias on this list. I think it was based on how talented these teams are, and I think 2 of these teams, I think it'll come down to 2 SEC teams in one of the sides of the Final Four. So, but I got Kansas. I think they still hold on and pick up the win. So we differ in that one.
And 2-15, St. John's blowout over Omaha. I got the Johnnies making a run.
Yeah, they take care of business pretty easily, I feel like, in this one.
Top right, Duke blowout over Mount St. Mary's.
Yep.
That's not close. None of the 1 or 2 seeds will be upset in the first round.
Agreed.
8-9, Mississippi State Baylor. These next 4 to 5, except for Alabama, Robert Morrison, and the Duke game, all the rest of those games in that region could be upset alerts.
Oh.
Not personally in my bracket, but could happen. Mississippi State, I'm taking them over Baylor.
I got the Baylor Bears picking up the win.
Again, I'd be confident with the pick either way because it's that 8-9 matchup.
Yeah.
So 5-12, Oregon, who's had a good year but struggled in the latter part of their run in the Big Ten tournament, taking on the Flames of Liberty, who won their conference. Give me the Flames in an upset. Give me Liberty or give me death.
What a call. I feel like this is a trap game for Liberty. So I'm going to take Oregon. I feel like every year there is one underdog where people think like they are going to go far. Like one team that you wouldn't expect to go far.
St. Peter's.
I feel like Liberty's that team this year that everybody thinks, and that's why they're going to be out in the first round.
All right.
I know you like them a lot, but...
Well, wait until who I think Liberty's going to play in the second round. Arizona, the Wildcats, who were a 1 seed just a couple years ago, taking on the Zips of Akron. I like LeBron James. I like Steph Curry. They were both born in Akron in the same hospital. Give me Akron.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got Arizona. I don't think this game will be close. I got Arizona.
Which means I have Liberty Akron in the second round.
Wow, what a second
That's
round
quality
matchup.
TV right there.
What a second round.
BYU 6-11 BYU against VCU. VCU won the Atlantic 10 in a great game over George Mason. I watched part of that. That was on right before the Big Ten, but I got BYU.
I think they could be a sleeper. I was talking to a few people about how good BYU could be in this tournament, so I got BYU winning this one. I just think they run into a pretty unstoppable opponent.
Wisconsin taking on the Grizz of Montana, who won the Big Sky Conference. Clark Kellogg, he said that was another sleeper team. He had Montana upsetting Wisconsin. I don't think that's going to happen. Wisconsin's a really good team that honestly should have beat Michigan. I'm going to take the Badgers.
Yes, for Big Cat, I'll take Wisconsin.
For Big Cat.
For Big Cat and Big Cat only.
St. Mary's, Vanderbilt, 7-10. Vanderbilt's a really good team, but the SEC is so stacked that's why they're a 10 seed. But give me St. Mary's.
Yeah, I like St. Mary's as well. I don't know why, but when I looked at this matchup, St. Mary's just jumped out at me, so I got St. Mary's here.
And to wrap up the top right, Alabama blowout over Robert Morris.
Yeah, I really, really like Alabama this year, so I got Alabama.
And to wrap up our first segment here at the bracket, bottom right, Houston taking on SIU Edwardsville. I've never heard of them.
This is like one of those games that's like usually like middle of the week, 2 p.m. This is the type of team that's in those games. SIU or whatever they're called. SIU.
Well, remember UMBC was in primetime against Virginia and Fairleigh Dickinson.
Well, and that's the thing.
Over
like,
Purdue.
We were pretty confident that Virginia wasn't going to lose because they were
Wasn't
the
it like
overall
almost 98% of people in their bracket picked Virginia to win?
Well, yeah, and like they were the clear number 1 seed going into the tournament overall. So obviously we can't predict when something like that's going to happen. But you can't really.
That would be the most major onion of all time if SIU Edwardsville were to beat them. Then nobody would hear from them again after that.
Yeah. But yeah, I got obviously Houston. Like we said, no 1 or 2 seed upsets.
The second best team in the West Coast Conference behind St. Mary's, Gonzaga, who's always been a blue blood as of modern era in the tournament, taking on Georgia. That's going to be a really good matchup. Give me the Bulldogs of Georgia.
Oh, wow. Give me the slipper. The slipper's going to fit on Gonzaga for a little bit.
I didn't know where you were
in
going
this
with
tournament.
that for a minute.
I think we might see a small little Cinderella team in Gonzaga for a little bit, so I got Gonzaga winning this one.
That's so weird to say Gonzaga as a Cinderella team.
I know, it's weird, but it's just nobody's going to expect them to really go far in this tournament, especially if they're going to have to go up against Houston.
In the second round.
But I might have some shocking news after of my pick after.
Well, I am right now. Sweet 16, the next matchup, Clemson taking on McNeese, another team that the panel on CBS said, watch out for them. I also have McNeese going to the Sweet 16. They're going to defeat Clemson in the first round and beat Purdue in the second round.
Yo. I got Clemson winning this game. More of just like, it's not McNeese. So I just have to pick Clemson here. I just don't see them getting the upset.
High Point, Pat McAfee, I watched his show earlier before this.
High Point.
They loved High Point taking on Purdue. Purdue with Braden Smith, Big Ten Player of the Year. Purdue, big over High Point.
Yep, I think they got some experience. I got Purdue winning this one.
Illinois, a really good team that killed Michigan just a couple weeks ago, taking on the Texas Xavier play-in winner. Both those teams suck, so give me Illinois.
Same here. I got Illinois. That was a pretty easy decision.
Troy taking on Kentucky. Will Kentucky get upset in the first round again? Because remember who they lost to last year in the first round, Jack Golke and the Oakland, Michigan.
That's right.
The Golden Grizzlies?
Yes, or just the Grizzlies. I don't remember.
I almost said the Golden Bears.
Golden Bears.
That's right. Kentucky.
Yeah, I have Kentucky too. I think they got revenge on their mind, and they're looking to try to go far in this tournament.
You know what? Because of my guy, 7-10 matchup, UCLA, Utah State, I have a connection to this game. My guy, Jordan Love, went to Utah State. Love is in the air. We're going on a playoff run next year. give me Utah State over UCLA.
I have Utah State, and that makes me not want to take Utah State. I'll take Utah State, but that makes me not want to pick them.
Wofford has won as a 15 seed in the first round before. Remember, they beat North Carolina not too long ago. They're playing Tennessee, so give me the Volunteers.
Yeah,
of
I
Tennessee.
I really like Tennessee, just like I like Bama, so I will take Tennessee here.
So overall, we differed quite a bit.
There's a few. But I think in this next segment, when we break down kind of the rest of our brackets each, I think that'll be interesting to see where everything shakes out. But I think this is going to be an exciting first round matchup. Hopefully, we get some good upsets here.
Liberty, Akron, McNeese, Utah State, Yale, Grand Canyon, Drake. I have quite a few upsets in the first round. I think this is the year to do it, though, because people, including myself, talk about SEC bias, which I think is there, but that's for another discussion. I just hope the whole SEC just gets blown up throughout the tournament and we have a bunch of upsets. So, without further ado, when we come back, who is going to make a run to your Final Four? Who's going to make a run to my Final Four? Will McNeese or Liberty or Akron keep going? We'll find out when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV as we continue filling out our March Madness bracket. Me and you differed quite a bit in the first round.
Yeah. Obviously, we're gonna pick the same, the big dogs. But other than that, I like what we have cooking here.
Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Got to get that in too. We still have sponsors we have to thank. But back to the bracket, round of 32. Obviously, Auburn, either people have either them or Duke or Florida. 95% of people winning the tournament. So Auburn defeating Creighton.
Yeah. I got Auburn, Louisville in this one, but yeah, I got Auburn winning this.
Michigan over Yale, although Yale could be a dangerous team because Michigan's been so up and down, inconsistent this last month and a half-ish. But Michigan.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, I think Yale can give them a run for their money. I really do. But not likely, but it's possible the game could be close, but I got Michigan.
Honestly, I thought Princeton should have made it in the tournament. Remember, they upset Auburn last year in the first round. I believe it was a 4-13 matchup. And it's a coincidence that Yale, another Ivy League school, is a 13 seed here this year. I thought Princeton still should have been in. I watched the Ivy League championship when they played against Yale, and both those teams are better than North Carolina and American and Texas, and St. Francis U. So I thought, but that's the problem with those small conferences like the Ivy League is that you only get one team out of that.
Right.
So, Michigan over Yale, and then I will take Ole Miss in the second round over Iowa State.
Yeah, because we have the same thing here for the second round. Yeah, I got Ole Miss over Iowa State. I still think the Cyclones are really good, but Ole Miss I think has it.
Yes. And you have Marquette, I have New Mexico. Doesn't matter because Izzo and Michigan State continuing their run.
Yeah, this is an easy one. I think the second round sometimes is a little easy where it's just like you're kind of, unless you have somebody specific dancing, I think it's kind of you're picking the favorites here. Same thing, MSU. So I think we have the same, at least in this section, we have the same Sweet 16, Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, MSU.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. See, we didn't differ too much so far.
Yeah.
Just wait. Bottom left, Florida, UConn, Florida, obviously.
Yeah, I think Florida maybe shows a little bit of weakness here, but I have Florida win this.
Because UConn knows what they're doing in March. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're back-to-back defending national champs. So, Memphis, I have them over Grand Canyon. The Canyon will not keep canyoning past this game.
That was horrible. I have, and if you remember, I got Colorado State over Memphis, but Grand Canyon beats Colorado State.
What?
And they will advance to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
We're dancing.
The Canyon is still. I'm not gonna do it again.
Yeah, no.
You have Grand Canyon making the Sweet 16. I can't justify that, but that's okay because I have Drake beating Texas Tech and Drake going to the Sweet 16. Don't sleep on Drake.
I also have
The Bulldogs of Drake.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's probably good advice not to sleep on Drake, but I also have Drake winning this game as well.
A minor. Oh, I'm sorry.
I do think Texas Tech is good though, so if Texas Tech wins, it's not gonna blow my mind. But I got Drake. It's fun to take maybe the lower seed there.
Coach Cal against Rick Pitino in the second round, an all-time
It's a fun
head-to-head,
matchup.
yeah, coach matchup. I got the Johnnies making a run all the way. Give me St. John's.
I love St. John's, so I got to take St. John's here.
All right, top right, Duke, Mississippi State. You had Baylor, right? Over
Yes.
Mississippi State. Okay. Adam's got Baylor. I got Mississippi State. Doesn't matter, Duke.
Yeah, it's the same here. It's Duke. I think a lot of these things we might differ and are getting lost to these bigger teams, but yeah, give me Duke here.
You had Oregon, but I had Liberty upset against Akron. I had back-to-back upsets here. Give me the Flames, Liberty dancing on to take on Duke in the Sweet 16.
Man, I mean, if they face Akron, they better win that game. But
Don't sleep on the Zips.
I have the opposite here. I got Oregon, Arizona, but I got Arizona moving on. They're going to be facing Duke.
Okay. BYU, Wisconsin. I think we both have BYU, Wisconsin.
Yeah, this is for Big Cat. I'm taking BYU.
Okay, I'll take Wisconsin.
Whoa. Okay, I got BYU going a little bit further.
What?
I got them going a little. them going a little bit further. I think they beat Wisconsin here. I don't think they're just going to win one.
I thought you meant further after that. I was
Well,
like,
we'll
wait a
find out.
minute.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
All right. St. Mary's taking on Alabama. Doesn't matter. I can't root against Alabama. My dad was a student there for one semester, and we have family friends that live there. Roll Tide, Alabama.
I also have Alabama. I might not say Roll Tide, but I got Alabama again. I think they're one of the best teams in this tournament, so I got to take them.
I know they don't watch. I shouldn't have said Roll Tide. So
You did though.
maybe they do watch. I don't know. Houston taking on Georgia. You had Gonzaga. Doesn't matter. Houston.
I told you, man. The slipper fits on Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga beating Houston. They are moving on. The 1 year that we don't expect them to do something,
Unbelievable.
they're going to do something. I got Zaga winning this one.
I'm sweating just thinking about that. I'm actually sweating
probably
because
'cause
it's probably
yeah, I was gonna say
hot
it's that.
AF in
Yeah,
there,
probably-
but I'm
it's probably
sweating
that.
because of that pick too. But McNeese, I had them over Clemson against Purdue. Purdue with the Big Ten Player of the Year. That doesn't matter because they had the Big Ten Player of the Year back years before that, Zach Edey, and Purdue sucks in March. McNeese over Purdue. McNeese is going to keep dancing to the Sweet 16.
What on earth? I don't have McNeese. I mean, I obviously didn't pick them, but I do have Clemson beating Purdue, and Clemson's going to move on to face Gonzaga in the Sweet 16.
Illinois taking on Kentucky. We both had that game.
Yes, and I got Kentucky.
I got Kentucky.
Yeah, yep.
And then Utah State, I picked them over UCLA. Utah State over Tennessee. Tennessee.
Okay, I thought you were going to be full-on delusional, keep going with Jordan Love. Yeah,
I'm not
Tennessee.
that stupid.
They were,
Well, kind of.
they were one of my favorites when we did that pick show a little while back where I was like, hey, what were your favorites? Tennessee and Bama were two of the ones, and St. John as well, so I got Tennessee here.
All right, Sweet 16, back up to the top left. Auburn taking on Michigan. Go Blue. But this is the end for them because not a 1% chance they beat Auburn over Michigan.
Yeah, I don't see, spoiler alert, I don't see Auburn getting out of this side of the bracket, to me, but not to Michigan, but maybe to another Michigan school. We'll find out. But I got Auburn beating Michigan here.
Ole Miss taking on MSU. MSU.
Yeah.
I don't
so
know
far,
why it took me that long.
So far, I don't know.
I had a
but so
freeze
far this
moment.
So far, this side of the bracket is going to be the same for us. I also have MSU winning that. That's going to be Auburn, MSU in the Elite Eight
Against the Tigers. Auburn Tigers.
But yeah, that's what I said. I said Auburn. I said MSU against Auburn.
Oh.
So I thought you were adding on. I was like, wait, what?
Florida taking on Memphis, even though you have Grand Canyon. I don't know why I'm sweating. It's hot in the Grand Canyon. Florida, they're a national contender, of course, so doesn't matter if Grand Canyon, Memphis, Florida.
The underdog of the tournament.
Are you kidding me?
Even more than Gonzaga. I got Grand Canyon beating the overall number 1 seed. I got them beating Florida, beating the favorites. Grand Canyon's going to shock the world, and they're going to the Elite Eight.
What?
They are going to the Elite Eight. I got Grand Canyon beating Florida. Just you wait.
Man. I don't.
He's struggling. You might pass out after that.
Well, it's hot in here. Damn, I don't blame him. Drake taking on St. John's. Johnny's.
Yeah, if you would have said early on in the season that I would have had St. John's and Grand Canyon in the Elite Eight, I would have said you were nuts, but maybe I
would have
nuts.
said something worse. But
I
yeah.
have St. John's. It'll be St. John's for me, St. John's and Grand Canyon in the Elite Eight.
If you'd have told me that Grand Canyon would get past the round of 32, I would have told you were Lamar Odom. Duke taking on Liberty. The Flames. The car's running on fumes now, and they're not getting past Cooper Flag and Duke. So give me the Blue Devils over Liberty in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and mine's Duke, Arizona, but yeah, I got Duke winning that one. Duke's going to keep on rolling.
You still at BYU. I have Wisconsin. Doesn't matter because Alabama is too good of an offense, even though they don't play defense to save their life when it matters. Roll Tide, Alabama, Duke, Elite Eight.
Same here. Alabama, Duke, Elite Eight.
Houston taking on McNeese. The run for McNeese comes to an end. Houston.
For me, it's
Houston, Clemson.
no. Remember, I said I got Zaga over Houston. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, my bad. So Gonzaga,
Clemson. The run for Gonzaga continues over Clemson. I got another huge upset. Something's bound to happen here. So I got Gonzaga beating Clemson. They are off into the Elite Eight. Can you believe it?
So Gonzaga
to the Elite Eight.
I think that's ridiculous.
I love it.
Kentucky taking on Tennessee in an SEC matchup. Volunteers.
This will be a very good game, I predict.
This
is going to be a very good game.
And I hope that's not like the 10 o'clock game.
Yeah, that's got to be prime time. I like Tennessee winning this game. It's going to be, for me, Tennessee against Gonzaga in the Elite Eight.
All right. And then, let's see. I got to write this down here. So you have Grand Canyon Elite Eight against St. John's, Auburn, Michigan State, Duke, Alabama, Gonzaga, Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay. So just the bottom two left and right are different. So Elite Eight, Auburn, MSU. This could be an all-time game. Izzo riding on a legacy of one national title since the year 2000 with Mateen Cleaves. Besides that, he makes a Final Four once every 3 years on average, but then doesn't get anywhere. And green and white fans just can't accept that. They're riding on this Izzo legacy. But you know what? The run ends. The Auburn Tigers to the Final Four over Michigan State.
This might spoil some things, but I'll just say if MSU gets past Auburn here, they're winning it all, is my prediction.
So Izzo beats Pitino and St. John's in the Final Four? If they were to play. Then.
Maybe, unless I have Green Canyon.
I swear on...
So with that being said, I do have the Spartans winning this game. And like I said, if they do, I think they win it all. But this will be the toughest matchup.
I'm not against that pick. I mean, MSU's a national contender.
They're very good. So I think they're on kind of a little revenge tour about what, with how their Big Ten tournament ended. So I got.
Well, when you shoot 4% in that last game, you're not going to win a game. Florida, St. John's, you still have the Canyon in. That's ridiculous. St. John's, Rick Pitino, keep on Johnny and St. John's to the Final Four.
Would you believe it? that
Stop.
at the start of the season, if I would have told you that St. John's is going to the Final Four against MSU,
Okay.
you'd say I was crazy.
I was going to say, hold the phone
that's who I got.
if you had Grand Canyon.
I got an epic coaching match on that side. In
Grand
the Final
Canyon
Four.
versus St. John's. Epic coaching
No,
matchup.
well, yeah, but I mean, I think they're both good coaches, but I think St. John, MSU, that's going
You
to
don't
be
even
awesome.
know the Grand Canyon coach. I don't.
I can't remember his name, but I remember reading a lot about him, and a lot of people do like him. But yeah, no, I've St. John winning this game.
Okay, top right, Duke, Alabama. Be a really good matchup because they
Yep.
both have good offenses. But Cooper Flagg will be back for the tournament, but how good will he be? Is it Roll Tide or is it Duke? Give me the Blue Devils of Duke to the Final Four.
This is for Dave Rice. I got Alabama winning this game.
Oh.
Alabama beats Duke, heading to the Final Four.
Gonzaga, for you, I have Houston taking on Tennessee. Houston, Tennessee, the SEC run stops right there on that side of the bracket. Give me Houston to take on Duke in the Final Four.
I mean, I got Houston going out in the second round, so we definitely did. If that happens to me, my bracket's really toast if Houston goes all the way there. But
Well, yeah, because you also have Grand Canyon making the Elite Eight, which is stupid on that side.
hey,
So
you never know.
Gonzaga, Tennessee.
It's got to be Tennessee, and
I was gonna say, there's no way you would have both Grand
no.
Canyon and okay.
No, but
you're smarter than that.
But Tennessee and Bama, which will be my Final Four, that's a very tough game, and it was really tough to pick who I thought was going to win between the two. But it's going to be Tennessee, Bama in the Final Four. Might as well, I'll just name off real quick my
Yeah, go ahead.
my ones. So MSU St. John's, I got MSU winning that one.
No.
I got MSU going to the national championship game. I think
Okay.
that.
And
And then on the other side, it is going to be Alabama beating Tennessee. Another game where I think this is going to be an excellent matchup. But I think Alabama is going to get the edge over Tennessee. They got some experience, and they just missed out on doing something big in the tournament last year. So I got Alabama and MSU in the national championship game.
Okay, and Final Four for me, Auburn instead of MSU over St. John's, and then Duke against Houston. You have Houston losing all the way back in the second round against Gonzaga.
I do, so I'd be in deep trouble.
Will I continue the St. John's train over Auburn? Unfortunately, no. Auburn in the
boring.
national championship.
Boring putting Auburn in the national championship. Ugh.
Well, they're the top number one overall seed by a mile for a reason.
I
Duke,
don't know why I
Houston.
thought like Florida's the betting favorite though. Not to get sidetracked, but Florida's the heavy betting favorite.
No, I
over
saw that
Auburn.
too, and I was kind of.
and that's why I was kind of confused earlier when I was looking at it because it was just like, man, people really like Florida instead. But you could argue Auburn's got the tougher matchups leading up to it. So
Duke, Houston. Houston, despite always finishing with only 2 or 3 losses in the regular season, same thing with Purdue. They always fold at a certain time in the tournament. So I am taking Duke over Houston, which means Auburn-Duke 2-1 seeds in the national championship.
man, all right.
And you have MSU, Alabama. Is it green and white, which I hate that you're rooting for Michigan State this far? Or do you have Roll Tide? Are you rolling the Tide, or are you going green and white for it all? Do we have a drum roll?
This is sorry, Dave Rice, and sorry to you and all my fellow Michigan fans, but I think they got a score to settle. I think Izzo has these boys ready. I think, and I'm not rooting for him, but I'm just saying.
I hope
the Spartans, and this is for Brandon as well. The Spartans are going to be beating the Crimson Tide. Remember the national championship semifinal game where Alabama beat MSU like 50-0? It was like just a destruction in football. Do you remember that? This is quite a few years ago.
Yeah, but that was like 9 years ago.
This is revenge for that game.
From a playoff football game
this
9
is
years
revenge
ago.
for that game. MSU
None of
beats
this
Alabama.
makes any sense
Doesn't have to make
whatsoever.
sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It's March. I got MSU winning it all.
All right. And to cap it all off here, I'm still sweating from the fact that Grand Canyon Gonzaga. You don't have Liberty or Akron, one of the two, which I think is disrespectful. And you don't have Auburn beating Michigan State. I'm taking the freshman Cooper Flagg over Auburn. Duke continuing their legacy without Coach K, and the Blue Devils winning another natty.
If you gave me Duke or the field, I'd take the field pretty easily, even at poor odds. I don't think Duke makes it all the way. I think they're gonna stumble.
So if you're a
along the way.
betting man, which I know you are,
I might be.
You would bet the field?
If it's just Duke or the field, and the field was like minus 230, I'd take the field. Well, yeah, I would say like minus like 180, 170. I would take the field over them for sure.
All right. Well, we will check back in on Monday's show.
It's gonna be so messed up. These are all gonna be so bad.
Grand Canyon is gonna lose. Watch Grand Canyon lose in the first round. Watch Gonzaga lose in the first round.
Say that.
And watch Duke get upset in the second round, and I just get super pissed off.
Oh man.
Watch Mississippi State and SEC team beat Duke, even though Mississippi State is like the 9th best SEC team. So
I think these brackets are pretty funny, and we will laugh really hard when we look back at these.
I hope we laugh at ours by after the first night.
Probably.
When we come back, the Red Wings, after losing 6 straight, they've won 2 of their last 3, but they're still 2 points behind the last wild card spot. So Red Wings, Pistons, and Tracy Morgan when we come back to wrap up the show. Welcome back here on JTV. Hopefully somebody from Grand Canyon is watching and they're happy with your pick.
Oh man, they're gonna love me.
I just still can't. I don't.
Let's go Grand Canyon.
I think that's ridiculous. Anyways, quick headlines here to wrap up the show. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics and Minuteman Sewer and Drain. NFL news: Cooper Kupp to Seattle. And they have a new quarterback, too, Sam Darnold to Seattle, which means because Daniel Jones went to the Colts, which I'll get to that in a second. I thought that was interesting. JJ is now the guy in Minnesota when he is fully healthy.
Yeah, pending some weird thing with Aaron Rodgers potentially going there. I don't see it happening, even though it'd be hilarious because he'd follow the same plan as Brett Favre, your boy. But I think he's done, like I've said in the past.
Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh.
Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I know.
Oh, you know?
I know.
Has this been released, or are you just saying this?
It has been released by CTESPN.
Okay, all right.
He
Antonio
said
Brown.
The source himself he got it from was Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
He was a former Steeler. Just saying, he knows.
We'll see.
He has been right before in the past. He's reported news several weeks early before any major network has reported it. So, Justin Fields to the Jets, which means Pittsburgh is open because Russell Wilson. We don't know with Russell Wilson.
I heard that he was going to visit Cleveland. I don't know if anything
and the
happened.
Giants.
Yes, I don't know if anything might something might happen out of that.
I'm so sorry that he even has to go to Cleveland to visit them or the Giants. Those are both pathetic teams, and I hope he doesn't play for them because they're both awful. And the Giants have the number 1 pick. And because their only quarterback on the roster, the depth chart, is Tommy Cutlets, why don't you take Shadur Sanders at number 1?
I see that they got Cam. I see a lot of people thinking they take Cam number 1.
It's either Shadur or Cam at 1, and you don't get Travis Hunter, or you draft Travis Hunter, but you still have Tommy DeVito throwing to Malik Neighbors and Travis Hunter.
Unless they're tanking for another year, they have to take Cam out of this.
Either Cam or Shadur, either one.
Yeah,
they have to take a quarterback.
I just hear that Shadur is not the pick early. A lot of teams that have the number 1 and number 2 just don't like Shadur in that spot. But we'll see.
Also, back to earlier, Daniel Jones to the Colts. That makes it interesting. They have 3 quarterbacks because Anthony Richardson, who played half the year because he was horrible. The other guy that played half the year was Joe Flacco, who's still got a little bit left in the tank. And then they have Daniel Jones. What do they do with 3 quarterbacks there? It was just like Minnesota. They had Daniel Jones, Darnold, and McCarthy. All 3 of them are starter worthy. Minnesota, that is.
Yeah, okay.
Not Indiana.
Not Indiana. Okay.
So, Daniel Jones, why would he... It's a 1-year deal, but still, why would he sign with the Colts?
Got to go somewhere.
Well, I know, but why would the Colts even think about picking him up? They have Richardson and they have Joe Flacco.
Yeah, they might want a little bit more insurance. And maybe they thought they were getting a deal. I don't think they're getting a deal, but maybe that's what they thought.
No, that's highway robbery.
Yeah.
Out of money. Gardner Minshew's now the backup in Kansas City, behind Mahomes, and right now DeVito's the only quarterback on the depth chart for the Giants, unless if Russell Wilson signs there. And if Russell Wilson signs with Cleveland, that officially means what I said a long time ago about the Browns is true, that Deshaun Watson will not play for them again. So, because if Russell Wilson's there, he's better than Deshaun Watson. Why would Deshaun Watson play? First of all, why would he play after everything that's happened anyways? But besides that situation, Russell Wilson's better than Deshaun Watson, so...
Yeah, Texans, the Texan version of Watson is better than this version of Wilson. Will we get that? Probably not. But
right.
If he plays to his full potential, he is better than Russell Wilson right now. But I don't see it happening. But we don't even know if that's where he's going. So we'll see what happens.
Other quick headlines. The Red Wings are now 2 points behind the second wild card spot. They've won 2 of their last 3. They shut out Vegas on Sunday after losing 6 straight before that. Red Wings still got some work to do now that we're in the last month of the season.
It'd be really cool to see the Red Wings in it, especially if it's looking like the Pistons are going to be in the playoffs, or at least it's coming down to the wire with them.
Yeah, Red Wings and Pistons both in. The Tigers will be starting the season.
April in the D is back.
Yes. But will the Red Wings screw it up again like they did last year and just miss out on the playoffs? They're still 2 points behind the last wild card.
Hey, that's why you get 2 points for a win. So if we can just get 1 win.
But can they win a game, though? I know they've won 2 of their last 3, but they played Vegas.
Yeah, I would have to look at their schedule and see. who they're facing. But
just under a month left in the year. This is the same thing forming as last year.
I know.
You got to be more nervous as we get closer to the end of the year.
I'm thinking.
You're confident, though?
No, but I'm thinking we do it.
Well, at least you're being honest.
Yeah, I'm being honest.
I'm confident about the Pistons, though.
Yeah.
6 in the East, 38-31 after losing back-to-back, including one against the Thunder, which they shouldn't have lost. Very poor officiating, J.B. Bickerstaff. I'm sure you heard how upset he was after the game. I don't blame him. 5.5 games ahead of the 7th, and which is the first play-in. So Pistons still playing well. They won over the Pelicans after losing back-to-back. So Pistons right there, they're 5.5 to 6 games ahead of the next team even behind them. So as long as they don't lose another back-to-back or 2, I'm penciling them in for the playoffs now.
What do you think? What do you think Chauncey Billups thinks about this Pistons team?
Well, he's got to be proud of him as a former Piston, and same thing with the rest of them.
I'm saying about him being the head coach.
Well, clearly people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Shaq thinks Chauncey Billups is the coach of the Pistons.
Dude, that is so funny, but I'm not shocked. I mean, there's, we can't expect them to watch every single team, but it's just funny seeing that.
But the Pistons should be on TNT or primetime at least one time, because you know what? We're tired of watching the Lakers and the Warriors in rotation.
I don't know. It's kind of fun watching. It's kind of fun watching.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch the same 4 teams, though. The Thunder, the Cavs, who are both good teams, but I don't want to see them 3 times a week on ESPN.
Right.
And they don't either. So
I wasn't offended by the comments. That made me laugh like Shaq normally makes me laugh. So I thought that was hilarious.
Paul George out for the season, but like Barkley once said, they were no good when they had him, and they were no good with their top 3 scorers anyways. Heat have lost 8 straight, and they were no good with Jimmy Butler on the team anyways, clearly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's just, I wonder real quick, I wonder if they are tanking to get into the lottery, because it's getting close now. If they keep losing some of these games, they're gonna eventually be a lottery pick.
Yep. And in baseball news, Tigers, Jace Jung down to the minors, and I thought he was going to play third base, and now he's not, so it's going to be Ibanez or McKinstry.
Yeah.
So I like the bat from Ibanez, and you brought it up earlier too, especially at the end in the postseason run, but I think McKinstry's probably going to play third base.
Yeah, and I would have to check their stats, but he's probably better defensively, and McKinstry you can kind of plug and play anywhere. He's that kind of guy. So we'll see who it is. You said you think McKinstry. I think Ibanez, and we'll see what happens. But I think too,
we differ on that too, just like Grand Canyon.
But I think real quick, this is going to be one of those where it's like, for a series it'll be McKinstry, and then another series it'll be Ibanez, and they'll kind of go on and off. I think until we get that dedicated third baseman that is going to play every game, or if one of those guys goes off.
Opening day, March 27th. At the Dodgers, Skubal on the mound. And at Madison Square Garden over the weekend, Tracy Morgan suffered a medical incident, threw up all over the court, sitting courtside, and wheelchaired off the court like Paul Pierce.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it was a little bit more serious than Paul Pierce.
Yes, it was.
Hopefully he's okay.
I'm sorry, Tracy.
I don't know the details on it yet, but I heard, bleeding out of his nose.
They didn't really share any details what it ended up being.
It was a pretty bad scene.
It was rough.
Yeah. And then real quick before we go, I do want to mention first game of Major League Baseball season was on Tuesday. It was Dodgers Cubs really early in the morning on Tuesday, and Dodgers won 4-1. Yamamoto looked really good, so we'll see what.
Been riding high on him.
Well, that's Sasaki. I'm riding high on. I do like Yamamoto though, but I think Sasaki will be the Cy Young. I'm telling you, I'm still going with it. We'll see how long. I feel better about that than Grand Canyon and Zaga, but
I sure hope so. Real quick, subscribe to JTV Sports, because after next week, once everybody gets back from spring break, spring sports are underway.
Yeah, it's almost
already
here.
Right around the corner. The weather feels like it too. It's been nice out. I missed the nice day we had here, but that's okay because I was in better weather, so it's fine. Subscribe to JTV Sports. Thanks for watching, listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.